Good evening and welcome to The Big Question. The topic for our discussion tonight is a very important one that affects millions of people. We are asking, should all employees have the right to join a union? This is a question with strong opinions on both sides, and we have two excellent guests to share their views. First, I'd like to introduce Leo. Leo has been a factory worker for over 20 years, and he's been a union representative for most of that time. He firmly believes that unions are essential for protecting the rights and safety of workers. Welcome, Leo. And on the other side of the debate, we have Maria. Maria is the founder and owner of a successful small technology company. She has some serious concerns about how making union membership a universal right could affect small businesses like hers. Welcome to you too, Maria. Our format tonight is simple. We'll begin with opening statements from both our guests. After that, we'll have a discussion, and finally, they'll have a chance to make their closing statements. So, let's begin. Leo, we'll start with you. You have the floor.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm happy to be here to talk about this. I've worked on the factory floor for 20 years. I've seen a lot of changes in that time. For me, and for the thousands of workers I represent, the idea of a union is about one simple, powerful word: fairness. Before we had a strong union at my workplace, things were very different. I remember a time when safety was not the company's first priority. The main goal was to produce things as fast as possible. This led to accidents. People got hurt. Some were hurt badly. We were just individuals then, and it was hard to make the managers listen to our worries. When we formed a strong union, we finally had a real voice. We were able to speak together, as a group, and the company had to take us seriously. We didn't just complain. We worked with the management to find solutions. We demanded better, safer equipment. We asked for more training so everyone knew how to do their job without getting injured. Today, our factory is a much safer place to work, and that is because of the union. Fairness is also about pay. A single worker going to their boss to ask for a raise is in a very weak position. It's easy for the company to say no to one person, but it's much harder for them to say no to everyone. Our union negotiates for fair pay increases for all employees every year. This means we can all have a decent standard of living and support our families properly. Finally, I want to talk about job security. A union protects workers from being fired for unfair reasons. If a manager has a personal problem with an employee or wants to fire someone without a good cause, the union is there to step in. The union makes sure that every situation is handled fairly and that rules are followed. This gives us a feeling of security. We know that we have someone on our side. I want to be clear. This is not about starting a fight with the company. It's about creating a partnership. It's about working together to build a workplace that is safe, fair, and respectful for every single person who works there. And I believe with all my heart that every employee, no matter if they work in a factory, an office, or a shop, deserves to have this fundamental right.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Leo, for your thoughts. I want to start by saying that I agree with Leo on the most important goal. We both want our employees to be happy, safe, and feel valued at work. Where we disagree is on the best way to achieve that goal. I believe the best way is through direct and open communication, not through a third party like a union. I started my technology company 7 years ago with just 3 people. Now we have 30. For a huge factory that employs thousands, like Leo's, the cost of managing a union might seem small. But for my company, it would be a very serious problem. There are union fees, and there's the time it takes for managers to sit in long meetings to negotiate contracts. This is time and money that I could be using for much better things. I could use it to give my employees bigger raises, to invest in new technology, or to hire more people to help our team grow. Another major issue for me is flexibility. The technology world moves incredibly fast. We need to be able to adapt quickly to new challenges and opportunities. This means sometimes we need employees to change roles, learn new skills, or work on urgent projects. I like to reward people who work extra hard or have a great idea with a special bonus. Unions often create very strict and rigid rules about job descriptions, working hours, and pay scales. These rules can make it very difficult to be flexible. They can slow us down and stop us from rewarding our best and most innovative employees individually. But my biggest concern is about the relationship I have with my team. I have an open door policy. I mean that literally. My office door is never closed. Any employee can come and talk to me about anything at all, whether it's a problem with their work, a new idea they have, or a personal issue. We are a team. We solve problems together. My fear is that a union creates an us versus them situation. It builds a wall between employees and management. It suggests that we can't trust each other to solve our own problems. I don't believe all companies are the same. A model that works for a giant factory is not right for a small, creative business like mine. For us, a union would create more problems than it solves. I believe that building good communication and direct trust is a much more powerful and positive way forward.
Thank you both for those clear and passionate opening statements. You've given us a lot to think about. I'd like to dig a little deeper into some of the points you've made. Maria, you talked a lot about the high costs and administrative burden a union could place on a small business. Leo, this is a common concern. How can a small business, which doesn't have the same resources as a large corporation, afford to have a union?
That's a very fair question, Sarah. And I understand why Maria is worried about costs. No business owner wants more expenses. But I think it's important to look at a union not as a cost, but as an investment. It's an investment in your most important resource, your people. When workers feel safe, respected, and paid fairly, they are more motivated and more productive. That's good for the business. Happy workers do better work. Also, when workers are happy, they tend to stay with the company for a long time. This reduces employee turnover, which is actually a huge cost for businesses. Think about the money a company saves when it doesn't have to constantly hire and train new staff. A union's goal isn't to bankrupt a company. A good union understands the financial situation of the business. It'll work with the owner to find solutions that are good for everyone. It's about finding a balance, not just making endless demands.
Thank you, Leo. Maria, Leo suggests that a union can actually help a business by keeping workers happy and reducing turnover. He sees it as an investment. What is your response to that?
I understand his point, but I have to disagree with the method. I believe Times can keep my workers happy. I don't need an outside organization to help me do that. I know my employees. I know their names. I know their career goals. I even know their children's names. A union representative is an outsider. They don't work in my company. They don't understand our specific culture, our challenges, or our team dynamics. Why do we need a stranger to come and help us talk to each other? It feels unnecessary and a little insulting to the relationship we've built. Leo talks about balance, but my experience with unions from what I've heard from other business owners is that they are very slow. Let me give you a real example. Last year, several of my employees told me that they wanted more flexible working hours to help with childcare. We had a meeting. We discussed some options, and we introduced a new flexible hours policy the very next week. Everyone was happy. If we had a union, that simple change could have taken months of formal negotiations and paperwork. We lose our ability to be agile.
That's a very interesting point about speed and flexibility. Leo, what do you say to Maria's point? Is it true that unions are too slow and bureaucratic, and that they create a wall between workers and their bosses?
I think Maria's example is great, and it shows she is a good boss. But not every boss is like Maria. An open door policy is wonderful, but what happens if you have a manager you're afraid to talk to? What if you have a real problem, but you worry you might lose your job if you speak up? What happens if the owner listens to your idea, smiles, and then says no and does nothing? The union is not a wall. It is a bridge. It's a formal, structured bridge that ensures communication is fair and that there are consequences if it isn't. It makes sure that the voice of every worker is not just listened to, but is actually heard and respected, even when it's difficult to hear. It gives workers real power in the conversation, not just the hope that their boss is a nice person. Yes, sometimes a formal process can be slower than a quick chat, but that process exists to protect people. It ensures that decisions are made fairly and transparently, not just based on the mood of a single manager. That structure provides essential protection for everyone.
This has been a very productive discussion. It's clear you both have strong beliefs based on your personal experiences. We're running short on time, so I'd like to move to your closing statements. Leo, you can go first.
Thank you. I want to leave the audience with this thought. At the end of the day, every single worker in every job deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. We're not just numbers on a spreadsheet or parts of a machine. We're people with families, hopes, and futures. The right to join a union is the right to have a collective voice. It is the right to stand together with your colleagues to ask for basic things: a safe place to work, a fair wage for your labor, and security in your job. It is a fundamental human right that makes our workplaces better, our companies stronger, and our society more just and equal for everyone.
Thank you, Leo. Maria, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. A successful modern business is built like a sports team, not an army. It depends on trust, speed, communication, and everyone working together towards the same goal. I believe that forcing every company, especially small and innovative ones, into the same old union model will hurt our economy. It will slow down innovation and punish businesses that are trying to be flexible and creative. The best way forward is not to create an adversarial system. The best way forward is to build cultures of trust and direct communication between employers and employees so we can solve problems together. As a team, we should be building bridges of trust, not walls of procedure.
And that's all the time we have for tonight. My sincere thanks to both of our guests, Leo and Maria, for sharing their very different but equally valid perspectives with us. Leo has argued passionately that unions are an essential tool for ensuring fairness, safety, and a powerful collective voice for all workers. Maria, on the other hand, has made a strong case that for small, modern businesses, direct communication and flexibility are more effective, and that unions can create unnecessary costs and slow down progress. The question of universal union rights is clearly a complex one, with strong arguments on both sides. We hope this discussion has given you, our viewers, a lot of new information and things to think about. Thank you for watching The Big Question. Good night.